I'm Mia Dunlap, and I'm here to turn the camera on myself. I'm ready to talk about the audacity of Mia. You get a peek into my life, and you'll get a chance to learn a little bit about me and how I am curating a life that I love and living my life with audacity.
Why is pleasure important?
Pleasure is important because I feel like that's a place where we experience our center, the nexus of life. Some of the very points of being alive is to experience joy and to experience pleasure. Pleasure is important for me in my life because I didn't always get to experience pleasure. And so I'm discovering so many beautiful parts of myself through the lens of pleasure. And I don't know, it just makes me glow. It lights me up to just be in I'm getting chills right now. Just be in my own femininity and to be in my own, my isness. And so that's why pleasure is important, because we get to experience the depth of ourselves through pleasure. I experience pleasure through a number of things, but one of my favorite ways to experience pleasure is by giving myself time to just be. I wake up slow. I try to eat slow. I try to start my day really, really slowly so that I can experience myself in my fullness. Another way that I experience pleasure is through traveling. And I spent some time in my life traveling solo. Fun story is I traveled 3 months through Europe, just being with myself. And I experienced so much like silence. I actually went in Portugal. I went to a silent retreat, a 7-day silent retreat, 7 days, 7 days. And it was just so magical and finding the things that I like and desire and want. And so anyway, travel was one of those. Art, if you don't know, I did an art show. And I consider myself a creative, and so I did a mental health art show, which y'all will learn about in a different episode. But I did a mental health art show, and that gave me pleasure to see something being born from me, that I gave birth to something, and it was just like such beautiful synergy in what I had in my mind, what I felt in my heart, and what I was able to see outside of my body. So those are just some ways I experience pleasure. I make time by scheduling it. I realize that if I don't have something on my calendar, particularly during the week, if I don't have something on my calendar, it will not happen. Guaranteed. But I schedule pleasure. I schedule downtime. There are times where people ask if I can go out or if I can do something, and I remember that, this is my day to just give my body rest. This was my day just to, not my whole day, but I love daydreaming. I don't know if people explore their imaginations a lot. I didn't get to do that as a kid. Like growing up, I didn't really get a ton of time to just be a kid. I grew up really, really fast. And so things that people find natural pleasure in, like Disney movies. I didn't watch Disney movies growing up. I was busy sort of taking care of what my parents weren't available to take care of. And so I spent a lot of time being an adult very early on. I find myself penciling pleasure in so that I'm not going to my default of not doing the thing that's pleasurable, of doing the thing that's like work. But now I'm like, oh no, slow down, and you are worthy of slowing down. And so I pencil pleasure. I pen it in. It's a pen. I think there's a way that we've talked about the soft life that has become oversaturated, and we've made it like, oh, well, the soft life is femininity, or the soft life is like not having to work. But for me, I feel like the soft life is slowing down, and the soft life is being able to be in all that I am. And be available to myself. That's also what I'm looking for in a partner, somebody who is available to themselves. So it's not a dating show, but if it were, that's what I'd be looking for. Like soft life is like being able to, when I think about that, I think about falling on a soft pillow, or like falling into like a soft and warm hug. Like that's what life gets to feel like. It's like a big hug. And I also realized that like there are pleasure, we can find pleasure in small things. It doesn't have to be elaborate. But for me, like I find pleasure in, I have a list in my phone of foods that make me dance. And so like, sometimes that's just what I order. Like, oh yeah, these, I remember, yes, this makes me dance. Velvet Taco, they're not paying me to advertise, so, but I'm gonna say this. Velvet Tacos, cauliflower tacos are, I don't even have the words, just everything. So I find small ways to give myself pleasure. Also, y'all, I'm my baby. Like I am my baby. I spoil myself and I create luxury in small moments, particularly in my home. Like that's one of my favorite places to just spoil myself because I didn't get to have that experience and I'm not looking for somebody to give it to me necessarily. But if somebody comes along and they do, I'm good with that. But I love the way it feels to be spoiled and to be my own baby. And so I find it every day, just like I would give it to a kid that I love. So with working, I think we get to be intentional. I take pleasure in small things. I take pleasure in dressing up. I take pleasure in wearing makeup. I take pleasure in smiling and seeing others smile. And so I encourage you to find the thing in your life that gives you pleasure. Find the thing in your life that lights you up. And it could be one thing, it could be many things, but we are worthy. We are absolutely worthy of joy. We are worthy of ease. We are worthy of pleasure. And a thing that I realize now more than ever is we're born worthy. There's nothing that we have to do to become worthy of pleasure, to become worthy of joy. And I would even say, find joy and pleasure in work. Find joy and pleasure in every single thing you do and be intentional about expressing it and being available to it. You just got a sneak peek into my life and my life of pleasure as I am curating a life that I love. I'm excited to hear from you about what brings you pleasure. What is it? What are the things in your life that you desire, that makes you glow, that makes you happy? I want to hear from you. Tune in for the next episode.